Hey gang, what's up? You made it! We made it! It's 2024. It's a new year. Man, that saying that the days are long and the years are short is absolutely true. But hope you had a safe New Year's Day, New Year's celebration with family and friends, or you did it on your lonesome. Hope you had some relaxing, peaceful time to yourself. But it's a new year. You know what that means. There's a new set of New Year's resolutions. I don't have time to go to the gym, so all my stuff has to deal with artwork. So in this video, we are going to talk about the main goals for 2024 on improving not only art, but maybe the channel and a few other things as well. So without further ado, let's hop in to our New Year's art resolutions. All right, so 2024 is here. Time for the resolutions. And I do this every year. I think I should have probably looked at last year's video to see if I did the things or not. I'm terrible at like keeping up with actually like checking off the box of making the goal. But this time the goals are kind of already in motion. It's just I have to follow through and I have to actually do it. I think everybody's New Year's resolutions are kind of the same way, right? It's like, okay, I got it in my head right now. We're going to do this, and then hopefully the steps you take, even if they seem small at the time, will end up throughout the course of the year build into something that's remarkable or remarkable for us. And that's kind of the goal. Always be evolving. Doesn't have to be changing the world all the time. It can be little steps, but sometimes those little steps are worth everything. So I made a list. I have 5 that I'm looking at right here, but some of these can kind of stretch out a little bit, kind of massage them out, and they turn into other goals as well. So these are kind of the bigger all-encompassing goals. But before we get into that, I do want to talk about this painting right here. This is just a painting of my Diablo 4 character. I reinstalled Diablo 4, with the holidays being busy and stuff. Didn't really have a lot of time to play a lot of games. I reinstalled Diablo 4, and I dug the look of my character. I was like, oh, maybe I should just make a quick sketch painting, record it, that type of thing. But I wanted to try a different look, maybe a different way of going about things. And I know I always say that, and when I look back at footage of myself painting, it looks exactly the same as all of my other quote-unquote styles that I do. At the end of the day, if you try new styles, it's going to end up looking like you're painting anyway. So I wanted to do something a little more rendered. Not tightly rendered, mind you. I still like the look of painting. I want it to look like a painting. I want it to have the brushwork and the loose strokes and the smudged edges and all that stuff. But I did want to push this a little more, maybe to be a character illustration. Let's say if it was in, a write-up of a tabletop role-playing game book or something. That's sort of the vibe. I also wanted to really focus on a lot of the brown and kind of scratched gray look of armor. I really like that kind of yellow ochre, very, I guess, Baroque, maybe Renaissance stuff. You know what I mean? Like the Rembrandt. It's a Rembrandt color palette, So wanted to do that. And namely, I just use PaintStorm Studio to get things started. I'm loving that program more and more and more. And then we move over later to Clip Studio Paint. And I'm really liking that combo. I think I've talked about it before in a previous video last year. I'm really liking the PaintStorm Studio for the loose brushwork. Then go in and start refining it a little more in Clip Studio Paint. Then at the end, I don't know if I actually recorded this part, but I just went in, did a quick color correction and stuff with the sliders on Photoshop. I've used Photoshop for so long, it's just easier to do any editing in Photoshop nowadays. So yeah, just a quick look at that. So you're going to see the different spots. You're going to see it go from a sketch and a real rough painting to something a little bit more vivid whenever we make that leap over to Clip Studio. And all I did for that, I just put in some royalty-free canvas textures. I think I found them on pexels.com. And or either that or Pixabay. Those are both really great free resources, royalty-free images, stock footage, stock images that you can use. So shout out to the people that made these photos because they were really helpful. But yeah, kind of overlaid those and then used those to kind of mimic more of the traditional feel. Then got the paint strokes in there, and it ended up pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with it, especially for the first painting of 2024. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the main goals, the 5 main goals for my 2024 art resolution. So the first one is actually leveling up the YouTube channel. So you probably noticed there's subtle differences already. So some of the transitions are different, some of the graphics are different. The vibe is going to be relatively the same. I just want to pretty it up a bit. I want to, kind of cross the T's and dot the I's, as it were. Thankfully, I'm blown away. We passed 6,000 subscribers. I genuinely can't believe that. So a big, huge thank you to every single one of you for listening to me blab on about nonsense all this time. And yeah, I think making the videos more and more watchable is the least I can do, since we're having more people part of the community, more people hanging out, talking in the comments. We're just chilling out. But I think my gift to everyone should be to make the videos better. I thought about it and I was like, man, hopefully these aren't too dry and we can actually get somewhere. So we'll keep this going. We'll keep fine tuning things. So some of the transitions or lower thirds or all that stuff, some of that might still change, even the kind of overall look. But I'm going for a little bit more sleek look now, and something that looks like a painting channel. Who knew, right? But yeah, that's overall just the consistency of everything. I want it to feel a little different, and probably the thumbnail is going to look different as well. So just a little bit of everything. We're going to repackage the channel, make it a little bit more digestible, and something that I'm really looking forward to. Spending a little bit more time on the YouTube videos, massaging them out, making them the best they can be. So there might be less videos. I'm going to still try for one a week, but I want to make sure that the quality is better than it's ever been. So that's number one, and that's kind of the primary one, especially with you here. YouTube, make it a bigger focus. So number 2, I actually want to try to live stream more. So with art, I think there's a lot of untapped potential watching artists work live, and where you can ask a question and they can give a response right then. I think that is invaluable. It's what I've learned the most doing like atelier stuff way back, God, now 20 years ago. But there's nothing like that. There's nothing like having the professional be able to be like, well, why'd you put that color there? Oh, well, here's what I'm thinking. And you get that direct feedback. I think there's gold and then there are hills. I would love to embrace that more. So completely open book here. The reason why I have not live streamed more is family stuff. The kiddos, got an 11-year-old, got a 2.5-year-old, and got a 6-month-old. Sleep schedules are who knows. And I have this thing about not wanting a ton of like outside things happening. If you're there for a live stream, you're there for the information, you're there to hang out. If I'm leaving every 5 seconds to go, oh, baby's bottle needs to be washed and we need to do this and then that and then that. All the parents out there know that one task becomes 19 tasks very quickly, very easily. And I just don't think it would be a good experience to be like, okay, I'm going to stream at this time. And then that's the exact time that the 2-year-old has a toothache. And then I have to cancel. And then, that's just not good for anybody. Like I said on the YouTube thing, I want to be more consistent in quality. But with live streaming, I think a big thing about it is consistency in time and schedule. And sadly, I just haven't figured out that balance. Now, if everybody's okay with like, oh, I'm holding the baby and we're painting on the live stream, hey, that's great. But I just don't know how to tiptoe around that, I guess. Because it's not the worst thing in the world. Tons of gamers and other artists and stuff like that have their whole family on stream, and that's great. but I just don't know where that balance is. If we're going to hang out, great, but also I do want the live streams to exist for a purpose, especially people watching the archive. If they cannot make it live, do they want to boot up a 3.5 hour video? You know what I mean? Just to kind of keep up and kind of see what things have happened, and what type of art is being made and what types of problems are being solved. I think that's where the real benefit and the real kind of the gem of that is. So the more we can do that, the better. I just need to find a good balance for that, if that makes sense. So if you have advice, I mean, if you're a fellow streamer, if you like watching live streams and you have advice on that type of thing, let me know, man. I mean, I did Twitch streaming back in like 2014, 2015, full time. So being live is not the problem. I don't mind being live at all. It's just I don't like being live and then either have to cancel or being off camera or not doing the thing I promised to do. That's where it gets a little iffy for me. That's part of my OCD, I guess. But anyway, so yeah, I do want to live stream more, but I need to find the time to do it. Maybe once the kids get a little older, maybe they stay asleep at night, then we can reevaluate. But that's definitely on my mind. I think there's a lot of potential there. I think the way I teach is actually more conducive to live feedback rather than kind of choppy edited stuff. That's actually why my short videos, quote unquote short videos like these, are still like half an hour long. I like to talk and I like to extrapolate and I like to kind of dig into details and why and decision making, and I think that works better in a live stream format because you get to see it and hear it all at the same time, which is super helpful. So yeah, number 3, I want to use more traditional media. I want to get the acrylics back out, especially the acrylics. I've been on a huge kick of watching Jesper Elsing. He's a very, very good and prolific Magic the Gathering artist, maybe one of the most famous Magic artists ever. And he does, I did not know this, a majority of his paintings, if not all of them, are in acrylics. I could have sworn they were in oils. They look like oil paintings. They have the kind of buttery richness to them. They have the multiple, color, hue, saturation shifts and all that stuff. Like, beautiful, beautiful, very painterly looking paintings, and they're done in acrylic. And then what really blew my mind are 2 other artists. One, Greg Rutkowski, who I adore, that guy. His traditional stuff primarily is more in acrylics now. I'm like, what is happening? Like, all these oil painters are now doing acrylics and making it look like bang on oil painting. The reason why I don't get the oils out a lot, one, because of the time, same thing for the live stream. But with oils, even if I have the water soluble stuff, even if I have that, whenever you start getting into liquid and these other medium that you start adding to the paint, that's where kind of that toxicity comes. And I don't like having the toxic stuff around the kids. So that's why acrylics are a little bit more, I mean, you don't want to eat acrylic paint, but getting it on your skin is not the end of the world. You know what I mean? Like with oils, it's different because that can seep in, and too much exposure to that stuff's not great. But yeah, the traditional media, I have some open acrylic medium. I have some actual like glycerin, which is great as an extender for acrylics. Power washing fluid is also great whenever you have the power wash fluid because really it has glycerin in it. It has antifreeze, which makes the acrylic polymer not stick to itself as good. Which sounds like a bad thing, but what it really does is it's a paint extender. It's a retardant. It makes it go slower. It makes it dry slower. Because with oil painting, it doesn't dry. Oil does not dry because there's no water in it. It oxidizes, and that takes forever. But with acrylics, it's water and polymer and pigment. And once that polymer, that plastic acrylic polymer dries, and there's no more moisture in it, you're good to go. You can do an alla prima painting, and that thing will be dry in 20 minutes. Great. That's amazing. So I think that's kind of the way forward, and being able to utilize that stuff to make the acrylics look like oils. I think that'd be a fun challenge. I think it would be really cool to kind of get good at that and then be able to teach everybody. Be like, listen, guys, here's what I found out. Here's some failures. Here's some successes. And once again, that kind of falls into the live stream stuff, because setting up for the acrylic painting and doing stuff live and making decisions and using the paint and all that, great. And then it dries, and that's fine because you can always just remix the same tones and colors, paint over it. But you can store an acrylic really easily. I mean, you can kind of like fling it like a frisbee compared to an oil painting. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be fine. The polymer's fine. Polymer's not really going to crack. Not going to do some weird settling stuff. That paint kind of stays where it is. You know what I mean? With oil, since it oxidizes, even fast oxidation takes weeks. Slow oxidation takes years. So even though you can be quote unquote touch dry on an oil painting, it's not dry or it's not, oxidized. It still takes months for that. So any brush up can cause, a mini catastrophe. So there's a lot in my mind to juggle, but I'm thinking going with acrylics, using more open mediums, extenders, getting some better blends in there. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, and I mean, any painting is good painting. You know what I mean? Any time under the gun, you're going to get better. So I think if I get better with the traditionals, if I do better sketches with charcoal, if I do better sketches with pencil, then paint over it, put in some value, put in some tone, maybe glaze, figure out some glazing techniques with acrylics to try to make it still look like oils, but still have that nice, vibrant look. There's so much fun to be had there. And that's going to transfer directly over to the digital painting. And then, improving the digital painting process is going to improve my acrylic stuff. That's just how it works. The more you do the thing, the better you're going to get at it. So more avenues to solve problems and put myself in situations where I don't quite know what to do, I think is going to be better. Right? Because if you're in the situation where you get kind of anxious and you don't know what to do, that's a good place to be, because that's where you're going to learn. And it's hard to get there. You have to be very self-motivating to get there. But whenever you're there, the more you're uncomfortable, the less uncomfortable you're going to be with it. If that makes sense. It's a weird misnomer, but like, you're going to go through your mind like, oh, I've been here before. I've been uncomfortable before. What did I do to get out of this? And I think there's a lot of power in that. But yeah, traditional media, I think the more traditional I get to use, the better. So we might be brave, kind of break them out, figure out a way where we can keep the stuff safe from the kiddos. And yeah, make some cool art, man. Number 4, I want to make more dynamic art. And in huge caps next to this, I put, don't be boring. So a little inside baseball. I think a majority of my paintings are extremely boring because they don't have something. And I think this actually comes down to composition. I think my compositions aren't very good. I think I've stayed very stilted, very kind of rule of thirds, horizon line. I think very boxy. And I think what I need to do is think more triangularly, which it's a weird thing to say, but other artists know what I mean. Whenever you look at a piece, like this piece, for instance, that we're working on right now, guess what? It's a box. It's a box on a box. You got the box of the character on the rule of thirds on the box of the canvas. It's very boxy. It's boring to look at. Sorry, I'm, not really selling myself here, but I like doing the rendering and the brushwork and the edges and stuff, but at a certain point, it's just a dude standing there, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a barbarian, and he's like, hey guys, what's up? It's time to kill some stuff. And that's it. So that's not cool. He should be doing something. He should be interacting with a thing, or like opening or kicking something, or like a weird camera angle. Like, that's what I need to do. I need to start getting into some crazy ass camera angles, start making weird anatomy foreshortening. Like, I need to make dynamic stuff. I think that's my next big level up, is I'm feeling okay about the brushwork. I'm feeling okay about colors and harmony and value and stuff. Like, there's always room for improvement on that. But I think what it really is holding me back, I look at people like Craig Mullins. Craig has incredible painterly skills. He knows exactly what he's doing at all times. But his stuff is super dynamic to look at. And that's what I'm missing. I feel like my stuff doesn't do that for people. You know what I mean? And it might. And if it does, I appreciate you very much. But I know what I need to work on. You know what I mean? Like, my stuff does not give me the Frank Frazetta wow factor. Like, and I know it probably won't. We're always harshest to ourselves. But there should still be something interesting to look at. I do teach students and I tell students, no matter what you paint, it should be interesting. So, like, even if you're painting a still life, everything's very still, stoic, or a rock, or a tree stump, or something. Your goal is to make it interesting for a viewer to look at. Make it look like a painting. What is your interpretation of this? And, you know, I still think that to myself. So with this one that we're looking at, like the horns, the highlights on the horns, to kind of differentiate the values, it brings them forward. The metal and kind of the scratchiness of the armor, and trying to mix some rusty browns inside of those grays. So, like, I guess for me, that's interesting to do. But as a viewer, is that interesting to see? And I think that's where the money is, right? I think that whole thing of like, don't care about what I'm doing, care about what you see as a viewer. I mean, hell, that probably goes back to the YouTube stuff. I know what cool transitions might look like or feel like, or, oh, I can't believe I did that one, that's cool. But is it cool to look at as a video? Does it stand on its own as a video? Same thing for painting. Like, yeah, I can show you this crazy technique of bravura brushwork that I learned from, like, Soroya. But does that matter? Like, who cares? Like, maybe other artists might care. And a lot of us here in the community are artists, you know, just hanging out with other artists. So it could be bragging rights. But as a viewer who knows nothing about painting, do they care about looking at some gumpy old barbarian? No, not if he's not doing nothing. You know, yeah, that looks cool. Good job, man. But then what? So I don't know. Maybe there's some exercises I need to do. Maybe I need to make like a 2 or 3 page graphic novel. You know, do some storytelling. Like, okay, where's the camera and what information is being conveyed? Maybe I need to do more like Hollywood master studies. Look at old like Kurosawa films, or like Sergio Leone. You know, look at the Coen brothers. Look at hell, I know Barry, Bill Hader stuff. Like, Barry has some amazing shots. So there's so much stuff out there, and there's cinematographers, and there's other people doing other amazing things in other industries. And maybe I need to deep dive. Maybe I really need to focus and make that happen. Because I need to find that balance. Is it more interesting to have something better painted and rendered, but kind of boring? Or should it be more dynamic of what the thing is, even if the painting execution isn't up to that same level? I don't know what choice it is. I don't know what is the better choice. So, yeah, I think that's something that we all kind of deal with at a certain point, like how rendered is too rendered and all that stuff. But here it's even just, would you rather see a mediocre painting of something that looks awesome? Or would you rather see an amazing looking painting of something that's boring as hell? So, I don't know, yeah. Well, the goal is to get both, right? Get an amazing painting of something that looks amazing, and now you're writing your own paychecks. But, you know, this is the type of stuff on my mind. So when I look at my stuff, I'm like, oh, wow, my most boring portfolio in the world. Which is probably not true. I mean, I get hired, I do good work, I work with amazing teams all the time. I'm been very fortunate and blessed to be part of like Star Wars and Warhammer and a whole bunch of stuff I can't talk about yet. So I'm very happy and excited with where I'm at. I just think I need to crank that. I need to crank it a little bit. I need to go from a 6 up to the 9. I need to go from the, you know, I need to go past 11 type of thing. And I think that's a big one that's going to really kind of push us forward into the next hemisphere as far as our goals. So, kind of to bring this all to the conclusion, number 5, my 5th New Year's resolution, is to create more tutorials. So this means not only the premium tutorials that you can get, like all the links in the descriptions and stuff, so my, simplifying color theory and all that stuff. I love doing those. I'm going to do way more of them. I have 4 planned, at least, for the next, 2 or 3 months. But I also want to do more free tutorials. I want to do, a landscape tutorial. I want to do a character tutorial, all on YouTube. It might be multiple videos long, so we might break it up into different portions and different parts. But that is a goal of mine. I want to give, if I'm all about, spreading the good word of painting, what better way to do it than on a platform that doesn't cost any money? I do make a lot of my money doing mentorship and doing these premium tutorials, so that quality is going to stay as high as possible. And I want to bring some of that quality over to the YouTube stuff while not stepping on the toes of the premium work. Because the premium stuff, we really get into the weeds. We get way into it. I talk about prism light shifts on, difference between subtractive and additive color. Talking about when to use what texture and how to use it and how to trick people's eye into thinking a thing. We get into the kind of the big tips and tricks. But with YouTube, I think we can do the longer form stuff. We can do the big macro oriented, the big picture sort of things. How do I improve my paintings of trees? How do I improve my paintings of clouds? How do I paint a horse, for God's sake? Things like that I think could be really interesting on YouTube. So if there's a specific tutorial, whether it's a type of painting, like a style of painting, I want to paint in the style of, John Singer Sargent, how do I do that? I've dabbled on this before. We talked about studying Leyendecker and doing that. So if you like that type of stuff, let me know. Or if you're I'm trying my best to paint this apple and I cannot figure it out. It sounds stupid. It's basically a ball on a piece of wood. I have this still life of an apple on a wooden cutting board, but I cannot paint it for whatever reason. I can't nail the perspective. I can't, whatever. Let me know that too, because we can talk about the nitty gritty and kind of dig in deep when it comes into those type of techniques. Because I'm a big believer that if you can paint an apple, you can paint anything on planet Earth and even beyond, even stuff we've never seen before. If you can paint an apple, you can paint anything. I promise. So let me know where is your head at as far as what tutorials would you like to see. So I'm very, very willing to listen. Make a list. Christmas already passed, but I was going to say check it twice. I'll check it 3 times. I'll one up Santa Claus. I'll check that list 3 times. Can't tell me what to do. It's 2024. But that's it, right? So yeah, tutorials, make just more dynamic compositions in the artwork. Try to do more traditional painting. Maybe even sell some stuff. I haven't really sold traditional stuff before. I've made private commissions of people wanting oil paintings and acrylics and sketches, but I've never made a painting and then tried to sell it. So that's a whole different avenue of art that I have no clue about. And then we talk about live streaming more and leveling up the YouTube. So I think these are all kind of related. It all has to deal with self-improvement. It all has to deal with delivering better material to all of you that are willing to listen. You know what I mean? I think that's a big thing for me, is just the improvement of making better stuff. Better paintings will lead to better tutorials, which will lead to better videos, which will lead to better community, which will, it all snowballs from this one place. So I think really 2024 is the year of self-improvement. And I hope you follow along. I hope you set yourself a few goals that you would like to stick to. Make them vague, though, because there's not one path to any specific thing. Make it vague enough. Instead of I'm going to lose 20 pounds, say, hey, I want to lose 2 pant sizes. You know what I mean? Make it a little bit more forgiving for yourself. Give yourself some grace. Give yourself some breathing room. Make it happen. We're all in this together. This life stuff is crazy. You know what I'm saying? But hey, we made it. We made it this far. 2024 is here. Brand new year, brand new opportunities. Let's get after it together. I'm so grateful and thankful that you are part of this community. So yeah, give me some shout outs. What do you want to see? We're going to make it happen. 2024, I have this feeling it's going to be a pretty big year. Yeah, let's see if we can get to 10K. Can we do 4K in a year? I don't know. 4K is a marathon, right? That sounds scary. Anyways, that's my time. I'm Wes. You've been awesome. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.